And then it's called the guides. What does that mean? The guides to impairment. The guides means it's not rules. It's not rules. So there's no way they could make a book that has every known disease to man. There's no way. And so it has to be guides. It cannot be rules. What does that mean? Well, it means you got to just know some of the basic guides, and then you have to apply it to your particular impairment that you're dealing with, and it has to make the most sense. And by the way, that's who that anytime you ask a question in personal injury, you always need to think of who the ultimate answer is going to go to, which is a jury. So you have to ask yourself, how does that sound to a jury? Does that make sense to a jury? That's your determination of the answer to any questions you have relative to personal injury. So if it doesn't make much sense to a jury, you probably don't want to use it. And so you want to make sure that whatever it is that you do when you give the impairment, that it does make sense to a jury. In other words, it's logical and progressive, and it just makes sense by the time you put it together. Okay. Now, the reason that's so important is some of these you're going to have to put together. Matter of fact, the most of them. There's only a few of them that there's actually a table to that you can actually just point to the table and go, okay, I'll take that number. That's not the majority. That's only a few. The majority of them you're going to have to decipher, use the guide's principles, and go, okay, this is why I came up with this number. And so if you ever have to testify it in a court of law and you have to explain it to a jury, it makes sense. That's how that works.